Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me today. We are going to be painting this water drops, ripples in the water. I don't know exactly how to title it, but you can see what it is here. We'll be doing it in acrylics. This is definitely a more advanced lesson. You could try it, but with a traceable, I think it'll be totally doable. If you ever used a traceable, this is the one to use it for. To say that right off the bat, full disclosure, this one was really difficult. So I drew this one out and then I decided I'm going to do the traceable on today's live. So I have started with a prepped canvas for our example today. I've got my husband Mark with me for the live show.
Hey there, everybody.
So he will be taking questions if you have any. And you can put those in all caps. That'll help him know which questions to...
In the chat.
In the chat, yes. In all
Yeah, if you just type them in caps, not in the chat, I won't see them.
Right, if you're watching tomorrow, you probably wouldn't help you to put all caps in your comment.
Correct. At least it won't be as quick of a response.
Probably not, no. Yeah. So this is 8 by 10. I went ahead and made it a little bit smaller than my example piece. Figured it took me over 2 hours to do this one, so I'm hoping to get it to about an hour today. That's why I went ahead and just decided to do the traceable for it. And I have the traceable available on my Patreon account for the dollar contribution level, but you are welcome to print out I got this off of Pixabay. I'll actually put the link in the description. I did not do that, so I will do that for those who are watching. And I just traced my traceable right off of the photograph. So, and then I transferred it onto my pre-painted canvas. This is yellow, cadmium yellow light. You can see it's a very vibrant yellow, and we will be using cadmium yellow deep to tone it down, but the yellow underneath, the yellow parts I found when I did mine, I kind of did the blue up and then did the yellow down and sort of met in the middle and sort of tried to create my lines. And anywhere where I did not have yellow underneath already, it was really hard to build up the yellow levels. So just because yellow is kind of more of a transparent color, and these colors, the black and the blue, were so dark that it was hard to kind of counteract them. So I thought, let's just do yellow underneath as an undercoat, and that'll kind of help us have an even playing ground for the rest of the colors, if that makes sense. So I just used my transfer paper. This is graphite paper. I would not use carbon paper because carbon paper has more wax. I think it's harder for it to work on canvases, and just transfer your design on here. And if you get any extra graphite on there, it'll wipe off with a cloth, damp cloth, or an eraser. So, and like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with, we're learning to paint today. We're not learning to draw water drops. So that's a whole different, that's a whole different lesson. So, I mean, I will go over really quick with you, though, kind of the basics for doing it. So I will, if you do really feel like you want to draw it, the basics were this oval shape. Actually, let me give myself enough room here. Kind of an oval shape, flattened out. Do it darker so you can see it. Then there's a rim that goes around it. It's very, very thin at the top, and then as it comes around, it thickens a little bit. Because you're not seeing as much of it back here. And then this part was dark. And as it comes around the side, there's these highlights that kind of happen on either side of it. Then the center here has this cone-shaped thing that comes all the way down to the front side of this. So it does this. It's almost like one of those Sorry pieces in that game Sorry. If you ever played that, you know what I'm talking about. That's what it reminds me of. It's that little kind of a game piece shape. And Then there were reflections and shadows. This is all shadowed. And then there's some reflections that happen along the edge and right in here. So shadow, shadow, shadow. And this area here was highlighted with blue and yellow, both. So there was kind of a thing. You can see why it was complicated to draw this. So as it came up, it kind of did this bulbous thing here, and then came up a little bit more, and then did almost a sphere. Then there was a small circle, and then another circle up here. And each of these had some split colors inside each area. And then basically the rest of it is just a continuation of these shapes. You're doing your next layer of color here, and then another very, very close and larger on the bottom. And this area is shaded. I hope I'm not going over this too fast, but I'm not, like I said, I didn't want to go over the drawing part too much. We'll get to painting it. And then as it goes out, the ripples get less noticeable and there's less defined shading. These actually come up this way. And they get farther and farther out. But as you notice, all of these are very close together. So all of these ones up here are kind of stacked very close. As you go around the sides, they get wider and wider out here. And these bottom areas get a little bit less distinct, and there's a little bit fewer details in there. Then you're seeing the different colors kind of come off on the sides here, and there's some colors that are kind of happening in between these layers here and here that are catching some highlights. All right, and then on these outside areas, you're seeing these big, dark, shadowy areas all in here. Here and over here, too. Not doing a very good job of this because I'm doing it quickly, but you get the idea. And there's a few darker areas in here too. The shapes are really odd though. You know, the thing that I noticed with it was that it's really not a lot of repeated shapes. I mean, these shapes repeat. Generally, you get the same, you know, circular feeling, but there's a lot going on in here there wasn't a lot of repeated pattern. So I think that's what made it a little bit more difficult to draw it out, because there's just nothing for your eye to really catch on and be able to say, oh yeah, that repeated right there. Do that over and over again, because every little section was a little bit different. This down here, the column is just some like lines repeating, a few dots, and like a circle. So you get the idea, hopefully. If you want to draw it, go for it. I applaud you. It'll take a while, but it was really fun. I mean, it's not necessarily, well, it was difficult. I was going to say it wasn't really hard. I mean, it's basic shapes. You know, you're talking about, you know, these concentric circles and things, but there's just a lot of little details inside there. So that's why I went ahead and decided to trace it for y'all. So I just didn't want to get lost in all of the drawing today. Didn't want to spend a whole hour on the drawing part because that's what it would have taken. All right, let's get to painting.
Oh, she's got the serious glasses on now.
I'm getting my serious glasses on so I can actually see what I'm doing. Clean them off so they're, yeah, I can see through them. All right, nice. All right, so that's my example here, and I'm going to set that aside. And I think I'm just going to use, well, kind of a combination. Oh, I meant to have this up in the corner. Darn it. I'll set it right here. refer to it while I'm painting. All right, my color palette is pretty limited. I went ahead and added a couple of colors because as I was painting it, I realized that there was some lighter yellows in the photograph here. This color here is the Cadmium Yellow Deep, but then I went ahead and added the lighter yellow, Cadmium Yellow Light. But if you don't have that, you could use Cadmium Yellow Medium. And if you don't have the dark version, either a little bit of orange added to it or even a little bit of our burnt sienna that we're using kind of for our shadow color here. So Cadmium Yellow Light, Cadmium Yellow Deep, burnt sienna. This is glazing medium, titanium white, carbon black, any black will do. Phthalo Blue green shade here, and a little bit of ultramarine blue because I found that some of this down in here was a little bit of purpley toned. So let's start out, and I'm gonna go ahead and put in some of our blues here. So I'm gonna grab my Phthalo Blue, add a little bit of white to it to make it a little bit more opaque. We'll start putting in some of our colors. I'm not going to worry about this, all of these lines here necessarily, but if you want to follow along with the tracing, wherever you have these darker areas, you can add just a little bit of your ultramarine blue as you're painting it in. That will help. There's not a whole lot of shading down in this area here. It's very, very subtle little color changes. The values are very similar, so the color changes are very subtle. We're just wanting to cover up that yellow mostly. And you see how well this covers over that yellow, so and even if a little bit of it shows through, it'll kind of seem like we meant to do that since it's got the yellow reflections up here. So it turns it a little bit green. I'm going to use the ultramarine blue in the corner over here to darken up that bottom edge and the sides. And if you notice, I'm using an angle brush here. This is a 3/8 inch angle brush, and I'm brushing in the direction of my ripples as I go around. So that way, if I've got any streaks, it'll make it look like they're intentional.
Yeah, you're using an angle brush?
Yes.
1/4 inch?
3/8 inch.
Oh, dang it. 3/8 inch, okay.
Yes. This is the Simmons Titanium. The Zen, Royal Lang Nickel Zen is a good brand as well that I use. So, what?
I just realized that you had just said it before I
Yeah.
asked you.
I know.
Because I hear it in the delayed
I don't.
there, so
Yeah. You're obviously not listening to me live, is what you're saying. You're listening to the recording, which would be weird. I totally understand. You
Yeah.
kind of can't listen to both.
I'm just making sure everything's going good on the stream since we know that other YouTubers were having difficulty
thank
today.
you. Yes. Yeah, we were watching Cinnamon's live and she was having a lot of trouble with her stream. Hopefully it was just her local internet, maybe. Not YouTube, because so far so good. Fingers crossed. All right. I'm going to add a little bit of this glazing medium just to help it flow a little bit. If you don't have glazing medium, don't worry about it. And really, it's just to kind of help the paints move a little bit easier on the canvas here. You can grab a little bit of water instead and do that too. That helps. Okay, so with this one, this is that black or gray color right in here that we're seeing right there. Come down, so I'm going to grab some of this ultramarine blue and put that right there, coming around. Whoa, what was that? Maybe slamming the door somewhere. Okay, so far, I think we're good. Now we're getting into the trickier parts here. So I'm just going to follow my drawing. This will really help. Having the reference image in your drawing, I'm just going to kind of fill in my areas where I know these colors go. And here I might need to switch out for a smaller brush, but I think we're doing okay so far. So if I push it nice and flat, I can get a fairly thin line here. And I'm going to go a little bit lighter up in here. There. And filling in. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing well. Just monitoring chat, not listening to you.
Good. Good. Glad we do this together.
That's
every
right.
Week. It's a bonding.
No, just chat's going well. Everybody's saying hi to each other. So if you're new, and go ahead and subscribe to Angela's channel. You can click on the live chat down there and join in.
Yes.
Ask questions if you got questions, or just say hi and get to know everybody.
And we've got a really great community that watches us live. They all kind of come to most every live show, most of them, or at least some of them.
Yeah.
Kind of try to make it whenever they can, and it
From all over the world.
makes it fun. They get to make friends from all over the globe. Makes you realize people are the same no matter where you go. You know, we all have similar things that we want for our families and ourselves. Pretty cool. Okay, let me grab some ultramarine blue here, and I'm going to put in some of this darker shadowing around there. It's starting to dry in here, so I'm not going to touch that too much over here. But I'm going to switch out now. I think. Grab my... Maybe I will. I don't know. I have a number 4 round and a number... I think I want to use my... No, I'm going to do this. Hold on. Sorry. Talking to myself. Sorry. Y'all got in on that conversation.
And that's different how?
I don't know.
Because, again.
It's true. True. I'm not sitting here talking to anybody but myself anyways. Good point. All right, I'm going to go grab my yellow and go ahead and put my yellow parts in at the top, my darker yellow at the top, and then we'll kind of meet in the middle here. So I've got this cadmium yellow deep, and again, if you don't have this color, you can use any of your cadmium yellows or yellows and just add some orange, a little bit of orange or something like that to it to deepen it up. People listen, they just maybe not listening while I'm doing this. That's all. You hope that they're listening at least. That's the goal.
Well, you can tell by
a little bit of white.
By the paintings that people post on your Facebook page that they're definitely listening.
Yes.
They're,
oh my gosh, the roosters and
I
puppies
know.
have been amazing. The roosters have been so fun to see.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew roosters would be so popular? That one has...
They have a whole year.
I know, that's true. It is the year of the rooster.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just really, I was just doing it because it's kind of the year of the rooster. I never expected it to catch on like that. It's been really fun seeing all the roosters being painted. Okay, so I'm working my way up, and I'm just adding some of this cadmium yellow deep on top of the cadmium yellow light. And I'm just going to blend up. As I get toward the top, I'll grab some of my cadmium yellow light and add it. You can add a little bit of white to it. If you noticed over here, I added a little bit of white and then I went back over it with the cadmium yellow deep. The white will kind of help it be a little bit more opaque. There's a little bit of this in this top half there and here. There's going to be some blue in there too, but I will just do the top half of each of those little circles with this color too. Leave the bottom half that lighter yellow. Ooh, got a little bit of black or something in there. Just picking up the graphite. So I hope everybody had a good week. I don't know, we've got our Valentine's thing tonight. Valentine's Day, we're going to be on air this Tuesday, so we've decided to go out and do our date night tonight. So I think we're going to have some Italian food and steaks, maybe.
Yes.
Yummy. One of our friends opened a restaurant that's so good.
Mm-hmm.
So we go there as often as we can.
Got a question for your link for the brush guys.
Oh, yes.
And your discount code is Angela Fine Art, correct?
Yes, it is.
Yep, and that's down in the description down below. There's a link with the discount code. I think it's 5% off.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's new this week. We just activated it. So I don't have my brush list up yet. But a lot of the ones that I'm recommending are the titanium brushes, the Robert Simmons titanium line. And you've probably seen those in a lot of my videos. So those and the Royal Langnickel Zen line are also the other ones that I was recommending. And the Princeton Summit 1600 are actually in their clearance brushes right now. And these are really cheap right now. The 12 brights and the 10 brights are what I use almost every week in my videos. And they're normally like 20, I don't know, anyhow. I can't say. I don't want to say because they'll probably not be on sale once next week or whatever. I don't know. So they might be gone by the time somebody watches this. But anyhow, those are the ones. And they're going to keep the Princeton brushes. So they were on clearance, but they're going to keep the large brights for me since I liked them so well, which was nice.
We got a question regarding your color. Somebody's asking, will lemon yellow work?
Yes.
Instead of the cad yellow light?
Yeah, yeah. Lemon yellow is very similar. It's got that same kind of brightness. So I'm grabbing the cadmium yellow light now and just going to add it up here. Yeah, lemon yellow's just got that kind of a greenish tinge, and that's, tint. And that's what this cadmium yellow light has too. So they're very similar. Okay, so you see how I kind of just left a little bit of that cadmium yellow light at the top there. Let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush now. And I'm going to start marking out my yellow areas in here and my blue areas. Well, let's go ahead and do the blue because the yellow is already there. So I'm going to grab this cadmium or phthalo blue, sorry. Try to move my white so I don't have so much of that blue in there in the middle of it. When you're loading your paint, I don't know if I've already said this probably in other videos, but if you're new to my channel, round brushes are made so that you can put the paint all the way up to the silver ferrule. Flat brushes, you want to keep the paint away from the ferrule, the shiny parts of ferrule. So when you're loading your flat brushes, you want to load a little bit more carefully and pull from the side. And if you are getting a bunch of paint on there and it's getting all the way up to this part of your brush, you want to clean it off and stay away from that because it's really hard to get the paint out of it once it gets up in that silver area of the brush on your I'm trying to find where okay, I guess this one came all the way around here. Just didn't fill it out. So on round brushes, though, you don't have to worry about that so much because they are easier to get that paint out of that area. There, okay. Just trying to find out where my area is here. This is all blue pretty much. There's a little bit of yellow highlights that come through here though, so I want to make sure that I'm leaving some of that. This area covered up a little bit of it. Right there. I switched back to my angle brush just to get some of these bigger areas in, and then we'll switch back over to the smaller. I feel like we need music today or something. It's so quiet in here. I wish we had. If you're a musician and you have music that is royalty free, give me a holler.
I'll talk to Dead Mouse, see if we can get hooked up with some.
Nice. No, God, that would annoy me so bad.
What?
I do like his music, some of it, but not. Oh my gosh, you were playing. What were you playing the other night?
There's one called Not So Chill Mix. It's on YouTube.
So annoying.
We won't put a link to it, but
It was like tunk, chunk, tunk, 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 the over and over and over and over again and over again. And just in case you forgot, it was again and again and again. I was about to pull my hair out. Like I put my headphones on. That's when the headphones come out.
oh man.
We have very different tastes in music, obviously.
I think you introduced me to
I did.
Dead Mouse.
I did. I know. And I'm like regretting it now. Maybe. I don't know.
And no, to the people in chat, I am not going to sing. There's not enough mixer board magic out there to make me sound good.
No.
Oh, yes, Angela is agreeing.
You know it's bad when you have to ask them not to sing in church in your ear.
Well, everybody else is singing. You can't really hear me.
Well, it's fine. I mean,
but then you could hear me.
Then I could. Well, I just had to stand so I couldn't hear as much, or stand on this side of you. So I don't know. He's bad. Trust me. He's bad enough to throw you off, so you can't tell what you're supposed to be singing anymore. I love you. You have other talents. I
love you too.
You have other talents that are much make up for.
That are not artistically or musically inclined.
Exactly.
I can do spreadsheets like nobody's business.
He's so excited he's going to get to do a spreadsheet for me. He's asking about it today again. He's like, we got a new Patreon group, and we're going to keep track of all the folks since we got our Facebook group, and just make it easier to have it on a spreadsheet so I can keep everybody's names organized and all that good stuff. And he's going to make me a Excel spreadsheet. It's already
trademark. Copyright.
He's so into that. It's awesome. I try to pretend like I'm interested. It'll be
it's kind of like art.
True. Exactly. Yeah, you do a really good job of pretending you're interested.
That's right.
Gotta be supportive. If you married this long, you gotta know how to fake it.
You gotta and you gotta laugh about it too.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Somebody told me I needed to be nicer to you this week in my comments.
Exactly.
I was like, oh.
That's what I'm saying.
I am nice to him. You don't. We tease each other a lot, but we're nice. I'm nice to him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We get along really well, I think.
That's right. We do.
So if I tease him, it's not
It's all in love.
exactly. And ditto.
I'll let you know if I ever get that look.
What look?
I don't know. You just give me that look and I'll know I'm in trouble.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep. All right, I'm adding a little bit of the ultramarine blue here in this area. Trying to keep in my lines. It will really help you. This is kind of a little bit more tedious one, I would say, but it's worth it when you get done with it. I mean, it was really, really cool. I think when it's finished, it's just kind of a lot of little lines. Sorry, I'm making sure I'm getting these lines right. I'm concentrating. Don't bother me right now. I'm thinking about it. No, I'm joking. Deep breathing. What kind of show is this? All right, I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. I think it'll be less stressful there. I've got a number 2 round. I'm just going to try not to put my hand in this. I kind of have a feeling that's going to happen. Okay, so this one comes all the way around and connects up with the blue. Just trying to follow my picture here. So I've done this part here, then I'm doing this part here, and I realize there's a whole big part of yellow right there that I'm covering over. But oh well, we're just gonna have to put that in later because I didn't draw it in, obviously. I must have missed that on the traceable. No, I didn't. I just forgot to trace it onto my board. It's on there. I just didn't do it. Okay. So this one comes up and splits right there. So this is yellow there. There's a little bit of separation right there. And then this one goes all the way around and then splits right there. And there's this little yellow section right there that sticks out. Okay, if you don't want to do like all of this little, I painted it blue and then did the yellow on top. So before, but like I said, it was a little bit more difficult, I thought, to make the yellow visible. Okay, so that comes around there, and there's that yellow part. Then there's this one right here that sticks out right there, and that comes around like that. It'll all make more sense once I get all this blue in here. Just really keep referring back to your picture. So I'm right here now. I've got this little section right there I've got to put in. And this comes up. Yep, right there. And there's this one right here. I'm going to go in with my white and try to put that back in. There's yellow right here. I did it with white so that when I do my yellow, it'll cover over that. All right, we're almost to the center here. Let's see. So this one continues, gets very, very thin right here. Goes all the way up to that. Now we're going to start with the dark. But I'm going to continue with the blue if I can. So that is this. Let me see where I'm at. Okay, so that was this little dot here, right there. This little dot. Then we've got this larger one right here. Then another one. Right in here. And again, I didn't draw it in. So this one is right in here. There we go. And then this blue comes around. I grab some of the ultramarine one mixture. There, all the way. I'm telling you, this one is a lot deceptively harder than you would think. I don't know. It just was like, once I got into it, I was like, man, there's another line and then another line and then there's all these little lines and they all kind of do these weird things and intersect. It's like, just chill. But that's what makes it look realistic. So we're going, this one's a little bit more on the real side. You kind of got to go with it. Okay, so we got those in. So we're leaving all of that, these yellow spots, and this is going to be dark here, there, right through there. So then this is going to be dark here with yellow there, and there's a little bit of blue that happens around the rim. Right along that top. I can hear Mark typing away, so I don't know what he's talking about. What are you chatting about?
Oh, just chatting that you have 112 supporters in your Patreon account. You're 91% to your goal.
I know, it's
been
amazing.
Doing it for a week and a half, and it's great.
Unbelievable.
And that I've just been starting to. Oh, hey.
Sorry.
I'm talking
I had
here.
a scratch.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking here.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm listening. I have an itch.
I could tell. Oh no! I just started to look at all different cameras because that's one of our first goals.
Yep.
With the money raised from Patreon, and wow, there's a whole bunch out there. And
oh my gosh!
a
I know.
whole bunch of different options and choices.
And everybody's got an opinion on them.
Yes. So yeah, it'll be one of those big purchases, but it'll be well worth it.
I think so. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to a camera that's got better lighting. Well, we already changed the filter this week on the
on our
picture.
light.
Yeah, on our light above us. And I think that is helping for sure. It seems a lot less glare today, so that's good. So stuff like that. We're just trying to get it to where you get a better picture and better sound and maybe pretend like we're like a professional crew here, not just amateurs doing it out of our garage.
It's pretty close.
Pretty close.
Pretty close to the
It's a
ground.
separate
Yeah.
room. This used to be Spencer's room.
Yeah,
So-
it was a nursery at one time.
Exactly. It was. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. Yeah, it used to have clouds and
Yeah, you did a
Spencer's
mural
name in the room. I did a big mural in here. I
on all
forgot
four
about
walls.
that.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a long time ago. 15 years, I guess. I do miss doing murals, but I don't know. I can't get my knees for that long anymore. Those are hard, but they sure are fun. Something about having a big blank wall to smear paint on. Let's put a little bit of blue in the center of this guy here. It does this little not going all the way to the edge. I'm just kind of putting a little bit of blue in the middle. And then a little bit of blue here. And we'll put a little bit of blue at the top. Some lines in blue. At the top there'd be some dark color around the sides here. And the top of this little guy is going to have a little bit of blue. Do I need to zoom in now? Maybe as I get toward the middle here? I feel like I do, but maybe not. Let's go ahead and put in some of the dark areas now, and this will really make it pop. And then we can go in and add some little highlights and things. But I mean, honestly, that's 90% of the hard work there, is just getting all of these little lines figured out and in. I knew I was going to put my hand in the paint.
Somebody asked if it would be easier to put the black in first.
Well, that's what I started out doing, actually. When I did mine, I did the black areas first, and it did work fine. And it kind of helped be able to see it, you know, definitely drawing it out that way. But then I found, like I said, that the yellow areas got really... So I would do the yellow underneath if you're going to do that, you know. But yeah, you could totally do the black first if that makes it easier for you to see where you're painting and all that good stuff.
Okay, and they say, yeah. Well, one person said, yeah, go ahead and zoom in.
Zoom in, okay, all right. Okay, so I made a gray. I'm going to add a little bit of blue to it. This, I got the Ultramarine Blue here. So we're going to have blue and, or gray and black both. So, all right, I'm going to do the side, these large pieces first, and then I'll zoom into the middle section when I get there. So that's the part that you're going to want to see. This area is going to come right up close. It's going to go up and then around. And then all this gets filled in with that dark color. I really liked this photograph because it was so graphic and had all these really interesting, weird shapes in the water and stuff. It was very, very clear, linear, I don't know. Got water there on it. All the sections were very easy to differentiate, so I thought it would make for an easier tutorial, but I don't know that that happened. I don't know. I don't know that this is just a complicated one. I mean, for the main part, though, I don't know. I'm not even going to go there. I was going to try to explain it, but the yellow parts on this side are the parts that are catching the light from this direction, and the blue parts are the parts that are catching the light from this direction, or they're in shadow, actually. So the light source is coming from here. So that all these areas here are the areas that are catching light in this direction, and then you're seeing the shadow areas on this side. So that's why you're not seeing a lot of the black up here in this area. Okay. Just filling in. It's almost like a pop art, almost. You know, it's got that feeling to me of like a, I don't know, like a screen print where you've got all these, or, you know, print where you've got all these, you know, different layers that are all all lined out.
I do like Pop-Tarts. But that doesn't look like a Pop-Tart I've ever seen.
Pop art.
Oh,
Art.
Pop art.
Art, yes.
Sorry. Maybe we could paint a Pop-Tart.
Good. I was thinking about doing a cupcake. Cupcakes. Popular, right? To go with our coffee mug paintings that we did last year. A couple months ago. Can't believe we're already in February. All right, and this one comes up around here. And there's a little bit of an outline around these. If you're having trouble getting good lines, you can change out your brush. You might need a smaller brush for some of these areas. Because there's very fine lines that sort of follow the yellow up and then disappear. And then wherever these lines end here, there's some continuation, so I'm just going to use a very, very thin little bit of paint and sort of dry brush in some of those shaded areas there and there. There is this section here that's got this shape that's got these little yellow sections in between that I've covered most of the yellow up, but I'll try to find it. Goes down here. How you doing, hon?
Doing well. We're talking about our favorite Pop-Tart flavors now. We're all paying attention intently what you're doing.
I see. It's like, am I going to say that?
Squirrel.
Yeah. Hey, I've been there. I go to chats too. That's what's fun about him. The talk is rarely about the art, I have to say. Rarely. Okay, I'm going to put some yellow back in here, right down the middle of this guy. I may need a couple of coats on there, but we'll see. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in now. We'll get closer to what we're doing. There we go. Now that we're in the middle. I just wish I had my picture up there in the corner for you to look at. If once we get, ideally we're going to get it eventually. The goal is to get a second monitor so Mark can see what I'm doing and he can make adjustments to what I'm doing. And then have two cameras, one like zoomed in and one farther away, and so he can switch back and forth, and then have him with the ability to put like picture-in-picture stuff up and all that kind of stuff. So we'll get there eventually, hopefully. That's the goal. All right, so now I'm just going to go through and put in all of these dark areas with this black. So all of these yellow sections that come around, there's a little bit of black tips to them. So that's what I'll be adding here. And it's really not black black, it's gray. So black's a little bit harsh. So as long as I have a really good, drawing to start out with and stay in my lines, it's really just a matter of almost like paint by number in a way, filling in these little sections. I did mine much more painterly when I did the example one. You can see, so here's this section here, there, I did a lot more blendy look to it. So, I mean, that's an option, but I found it to be a little bit more, I thought it might be a little bit more confusing for folks, so that's why I didn't do it that way this time. There's a lot of room for things to get lost in the translation. I'm going to put in some of this gray around this one with a very, very light bit of paint in my brush, just a light touch. I'm just going to soften up the transition between the blue and the gray area there. Oops, I'm almost off camera, sorry. Okay. When you're doing line work, it's always helpful to have a little bit more water in your paint. So a little bit more fluid paint, so you can add a little bit of the glazing medium, you can add a little bit of water, not too much because you don't want it to go transparent on you, but it'll just help the paint to flow a little bit better off your round brush if you put a little bit of more fluidity in your paint. Fluidity. And a little bit in this one. A little bit right there. Not a lot. And you can switch to a really fine brush for this part if you want to, when you're doing these really tiny lines here. Like a spotter or something like that. One of these type of brushes with a very fine tip. Makes it a little bit easier. Okay, this one has a little bit of, I'll just keep going with this. This whole thing is going to be dark. And here's where I'm going to get in a little bit more of the blacker black. A little bit of the darker. So this is going to be one of our darkest areas here. So if you're trying to kind of come up with ripples on your own, and you're doing a painting and you're trying to see, mainly what you want to look for is these the value changes. The parts that are you laughing at me?
No. Somebody asked in chat, the difficulty level of the painting.
Oh.
And so, what we talked about yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Needing to come up with a rating system.
Mm-hmm.
So I said on a scale of Stickman to Picasso, it's closer to Picasso.
Right. Yes.
It's more of an advanced.
I would definitely say
painting.
this is an advanced level. Yes.
So no,
Just because,
I will not be trying it.
Well, just because it's got so many little pieces to the puzzle, but I mean, if you do, I don't know, it is definitely more advanced, I think, more than I thought it would be. I really thought that this would be a little bit easier, or I wouldn't have picked it, but I don't like to have.
Well, it's good to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Stretch a little bit and
it's true.
Try some different techniques. Mm-hmm. It's easy for me to say since I won't be painting it.
Well, this one was one, there's just sometimes when I paint paintings, or, I see a painting and I'm thinking, oh yeah, we'll definitely do that. That'll be cool. And I liked the imagery because it was so iconic and kind of, I don't know, bold, how I like kind of in your face art, like the poppy and the rose, where it's like one big subject or something. This one kind of appealed to me on that level. But then when I got going on it, when I got done with this thing, I felt like I was like needed a nap or something, It's just like mentally, sometimes certain paintings are a little bit more draining than others. And this one was definitely on that scale. It was like, holy moly, what just happened? That was the one that I drew myself and kind of figured out. So that's why I'm doing this way for you guys, because I didn't want to do that to you. I was like...
Somebody's asked, well, which brush are you using?
This is a number 2 Escada Perla. It's one of my favorites. It's a white Taklon, I think, the material. Taklon is just a synthetic fiber that works really well for acrylic brushes. Most of my favorite acrylics or brushes are Taklon. It's kind of like nylon, it's just a fiber, a synthetic fiber. And they make good brushes. They're very springy. Like it's got good good water retention, I guess is the word I'm looking for. It holds a good amount of paint. Natural fibers are generally the best for like squirrel or
Did you just say squirrel?
Squirrel. Yeah, squirrel hairs. That's the thing.
Squirrel hair brush.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh, I don't want to be the person trying to catch that squirrel.
These are all, I know. These are all, but yeah, they use squirrel in a lot of acrylic brushes. In fact, I think that these ones are part squirrel, the sapphire ones that I like.
Got a bunch of squirrels running around, look like they got mange.
Exactly.
Got the hair pulled out of them. Do they just tranquilize them and shave them or what?
I don't know. I'm just saying that they hold a lot of moisture, and so those brushes are usually used for watercolor, but they're very soft, so they don't have a lot of spring to them. So they kind of flop around when you don't go there. Anyhow, so that's why with acrylics you really want more of a synthetic fiber brushes are better. Oil paint, you can use the synthetics. You can also use, a lot of people use the hog bristle brushes, which are they're like hog, these type with the natural fiber that look white or sometimes dark colored. And those work for acrylics too, but you don't really want to water them down because they kind of get floppy when you add water to them. But they work well in oil paint. So
okay, so we've got a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
I got distracted by trying to be funny there, so I'm sorry.
Yes.
Somebody asked if could you use a deep blue instead of a black? Would that have the same effect?
Yeah, you could.
Okay.
Yep.
And then somebody asked if you had to choose.
And there is a little bit of blue in this, by the way. I did add a little bit of blue to the gray.
Your answer section is over. Done. you can't revise your answer.
All right. Sorry.
Okay. Where was I?
I don't know.
If you had to choose a brand that is best, would you choose Robert Simmons or Escada? Or like one better in one size than the other?
Okay, so that's hard because like I love the titanium line of Robert Simmons, but only for the bigger brushes. The smaller ones you can't get as much control out of because they're very stiff. So for smaller use, like these, detail work, I like the Robert Simmons Sapphire and the Escada Perla because they're a little bit softer and they're more flexible. So bigger brush, stiffer, smaller brush, more soft and flexible. So there's really a lot of brands that fit that bill. But there's not one brand that I'm like, I like all of their brushes and they work for me for every single thing. So when I have my brush guys list up, when it eventually goes up, I'm testing a few of the brushes that I didn't have just to see if I like them before I put them on my list, because I want to be able to recommend brushes that I know I like. So I should be getting those in this week, hopefully, and be able to test them out, and then we'll have the list for you maybe next week, hopefully, of the brushes that I recommend. But yeah, there's not really one brush brand that does it everything that I want it to do for me. So that's at least not. I'm still looking. So hopefully maybe one day I'll find it. But right now I haven't found just one that is like, that's the one that works for every single thing I want it to work for. So there's different things that you need, sometimes you need a brush that has more stiffness for certain techniques, and then sometimes you need like a more supple or flexible brush for things like this. So.
Okay, I'm going to give a shot to this.
Okay.
So I've got a question asking, do you know anything about the brand of brushes called Ronnie or Master Acrylic Fralinardi?
No.
So yeah, I probably didn't pronounce it. So okay.
Oops, I think I got that in the wrong spot. I sure did.
Oh no.
That's not there. It's there and there. No, I don't. I'm not familiar with those. I wonder where they're from. Are they like?
Well, it's from Miss Whitefang, so it's probably over there.
Oh, Netherlands?
Yes.
Got it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, a lot of different places in the world carry, they have their own brush companies, so. And sometimes the ones that I'm recommending are harder to get. In other places, in other parts of the world. Same thing with paint brands. Oh my goodness, it's so hard sometimes for some folks to find the kind of paints that we use. So there's all kinds of different brands out there. But you can get good results. I mentioned this in my chat this week. I've got the new Patreon Facebook group, and I'm doing chats this week. We drew hands, which was fun. We're learning to do hands, and then our bonus video that I'll be doing for my Patreon folks is going to be heart hands. It'll be a video with some heart hands like this. So we're learning how to draw hands in that group right now, and we're doing different examples and things. And oh my gosh, people are drawing some amazing hands, I have to say. I've been really, really proud of them. Doing just these simple exercises that will help you kind of bypass your brain's hiccups. But one of the things that we talked about was brushes, and in that chat, I don't know, that was a long way to get to this point. Sorry.
I was just going to say, don't hold your breath to get rid of your brain hiccups.
Oh gosh. Anyhow, just that I've done an art chat actually in my Thankful Art group on Facebook before last year, where I used 3 different brushes from 3 different companies that were low quality brush, like a really cheap brush, and then a medium quality brush, and then my higher quality brush. And I did the same exact brush strokes with all 3 brushes, and showed the difference and just how much difference a good brush can make. So you can use cheaper paints and get decent results. You can use student quality paints and get decent results. But if you use an inferior brush, you're not going to, even the same artist using 3 different brushes, you can see, you know, there's 3 different results on a, you know, versus a good brush to a bad brush. I actually have that somewhere. It's in my notebook somewhere. I could show, but anyhow, so brushes really do matter a lot, and taking good care of them. Clean out your brushes every time you use them, even if you're tired and you want to, you know, quit.
Or make your husband do it.
Exactly. Sometimes I do make Mark do it. And I'm still not fully to the point where I trust you completely. I still have to check them every time. Every time.
And I know that.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It doesn't bother me.
Well, you can ruin a brush with, you know, with one bad cleaning. I mean, you can get them back usually, but it's going to take effort, you know, so you want to make sure that you're cleaning your brushes out really well each time you use them. Don't use it and then set it aside with paint in it and come back to it. Don't leave it in your water cup for too long. That's what I'm guilty of, because it cracks your ferrules. It'll crack the paint off your ferrules. But yeah, I mean, I think a good brush can get you really good results. And a good brush, if you spend a little bit of money on one, and you take care of it, it'll last you for years. You know, so it's like, do you want to buy, you know, spend $2 on a brush that's going to only last you, you know, 6 months and give you crappy results, and then fall apart, and then you have to replace it? Or you want to buy, you know, a $5 brush that's going to last you for 4 years? You know, I mean,
You sound very passionate about that
I am.
subject.
I'm very passionate about brushes. It is. It's important. It really is. I mean, it makes a big difference. And, you know, if you're paying $20 for a set that you get 40 brushes in off of Amazon, and they have, even though they have good ratings, and, you know, they pay people to rate those brushes sometimes. So don't trust what you're reading all the time off of, especially on Amazon. Sorry, Amazon. But the ones that I have in my description, the ones listed are ones that I have either used or know the brand. So they might be a little bit more on the expensive side, but they're going to be good quality. You know, you can find cheap brushes, but they don't always, if they're cheap for a reason usually. Okay, see, I'm just kind of going in now and adding a few subtle highlights here and there in the blue to kind of pop out some of the areas. And you can kind of see on the picture where those areas are. They're sort of in the middle sections or the top sections. There's like these darker shadows where these black were, here, here, and here. So here, there's the dark one here, and then there's a little bit of dark there. So, and I may have to go back in and I'll probably darken that up even more. Let's put in the black up here. Yeah, don't get me started talking about brushes. You learn a lot more than you want to know. You're like, okay, we get it. We get it. Buy good brushes. Stop talking. For the love of God. Yeah, it sure would be nice to be able to find a set of brushes, though, that did everything that I wanted. I would like that for sure. Okay, so I'm filling in mostly with the black here, and then I'll go back in, and it kind of stops right above that dark area there. So I'm just going to go just above that dark line here, and this whole area is going to be black. All right, so we're already looking pretty decent, I think. You know, we're already kind of getting that feeling of that water. Let me do, there's a shadow right here. Coming along behind here, kind of low. And then it continues to this little section right there. Then there's a longer one here. Comes around. Okay, I think we've got all the black in. Let me make sure that I didn't miss anything. I think we're good. I'm not going to put the part in here until the very end, after I know I've got all of my shading right on that area. So grab the Phthalo Blue. Spray my canvas down here. What are we at? An hour and 12? Not too bad. We may be under 2 hours today, I think. Because we're almost done, really. I mean, we've got a little few finishing things to do, but for the most part, we're through the hardest part. I'm going to add some of the darker blue down in here. I noticed there was some above, up into there. I'm going to grab some white now, and actually, well, let's do a few of the shadows. I'm going to use the black, and I'm just going to use a very light wash and add a little bit of the glazing medium so that it's thinned out, and I'm going to continue these lines. Here meets up with this one, so this one curves and curves around right here, not that high. Like that. May have come down a little too much on that, but all right, then the other one is right from this one to this one. I think that's right. This one's too high. That yellow there. I'm going to cover that up.
Somebody's asked if you've ever used Grumbacher Academy acrylics.
Yeah, I have some of those. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they work fine. I use those in my kids' classes a lot. All the student acrylics I used, you know, for a lot of my kids' teaching, my kids' classes. They worked really well. So, Grumbacher, Galleria by Winsor Newton, the Basics line from Liquitex, Master's Touch has, which is a Hobby Lobby brand. I think Michaels has, and I can't remember what Michaels brand is called. We don't have a Michaels here, so I don't get to go very often. But they have a brand of student paints. You know, they all most Golden does not though. So if you're buying Golden paints, you're buying professional acrylics. Unless they have one that I don't know about, but I don't think they do have a student level. which, I don't know. I'm not going to get going on that because I don't want to make golden people mad in case they ever want to send me stuff. I like golden a lot. They're wonderful.
Yes.
I just wish they had some.
Give us a call, Golden.
Yep. They can just be a little bit pricey for a beginner. So it's good that they have good, decent quality beginner brands out there. Okay, see, we're already getting some ripples there, I think. Looking decent. Let's go in with the yellows. So I'm going to grab the cadmium yellow deep here. My paints are starting to get sticky. It's starting to dry. Add a little bit of the glazing. Ooh, didn't want to do that. I don't want the black in there. Sorry, I'm covering up my picture and not even showing what I'm doing. Grab the yellow or some white off there. This is where you'd be really glad that we already put in these colors, because otherwise these would be a 3-coat process of white, then yellow, then more yellow to cover over these blue areas, and we may still have to do that a little bit in a couple areas like this one where I covered over the yellow. Mark's over here laughing, so this chat must be saying something funny.
No, it's your breathing.
My breathing? Am I breathing again?
Yes. Can you
stop breathing?
Stop breathing there.
Sorry. Well, I'm leaning over. That's why.
Okay.
I'm leaning over into my mic here. Sorry.
That's okay.
Does it sound like a late night show?
It sounds like we're outside in the wind.
Oh, no. Okay. I'll back off my mic a little bit. Sorry.
No, it's okay. We want you to be comfortable.
Well, I'm just leaning forward so I can see what I'm painting here. It's just these little details. Okay. I'm adding a little bit of white to my paint so that I can get it to cover. And then these lines are going across. You can see these very fine yellow lines that go all the way across. Here, 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 even up in here. Oops. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to get in here. And I may go back in with my very, very fine brush later. I need to get all of these looking a little bit more of this orangey yellow first. Then we can Am I doing it again?
Oh no, now we have the air conditioning running.
I know, it's hot today. You would think that it's winter time.
Yeah.
All my flowers are freaked out and they're all starting to come up.
Yeah, it's in the 80s here today.
My daffodils are going to die because they're going to start budding out. Well, they already have started budding out, and now they're going to end up with the cold snap probably next week, and then they'll all die, and so then I won't have that's happened before. I hate it when that happens, when we have like a really string of warm days in the winter time, and then it fools all my flowering bushes thinking, hey, and really they shouldn't be coming out until March, so they're all in for a rude awakening, unfortunately. Well, we didn't have very much winter this year, really. I mean, if you think about it, we only had snow once so far, so I know
And that's okay by me.
yeah, Mark's Mark's an East Coast boy. He grew up in snow, so he's had enough of it. Kind of like I grew up in the desert, which I love, but I've had enough of hot weather and pools. And, you know, it's like, been there, done that. Mark's like, been there, done that in the snow. Oh, we kind of end up in Arkansas where it's sort of in the middle, both. Get a little bit of snow, but not too much. Get a little bit of hot, but, well, I wish we had less hot, actually. I could still do without the hot summers here.
Snow would be okay if it was like 60 degrees when it snowed. That'd be fine.
I think technically on a physics level that, or, you know, on a chemical level, I don't think of that.
Well, that's
know,
not my fault. I'm just
not.
saying more people enjoy snow if it was 60 degrees when it was snowing.
I think you're probably right. It's a good point. So I think you have to take that up with God.
Okay, we might just leave it as it is then.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so we're almost done here. I'm going to switch to a very, very thin brush now. This is my, called a spotter. It's a 3/0 Princeton Select round. And I'm going to grab some white. Bring it over. Whoop. Grab some blue. Make a very, very light blue color. We'll add a few highlights to some of the tops of these blue areas. Whoop. Just really go thin along there.
Now, I know at the beginning you were using a glazing medium.
Yes.
And are you still using that?
If I need, yeah, I mean, occasionally if I need to thin out my paint a little bit.
Okay,
yes.
so do you use a combination of water and medium or just medium or?
Yeah, you can use both.
Okay, you don't have to. It was a question.
To modify consistency, use golden acrylic mediums or water. So yeah, I use water. I was just making sure that it was okay that I did that. A lot of times I do things, but I don't really. Sometimes the mediums can have like certain things that they don't want you to do, you know. So, but yeah, no, you can use water with your glazing medium. I was just double checking, making sure that I should tell you that it was okay, even though I do it. Okay, so adding light color to some of these tops of the blue sections. I'm not like outlining it, and it's not super it doesn't have to be super clean necessarily. It can just be kind of sort of dry brushed. Just trying to kind of define some of these highlight areas that are sticking out just a little bit better with this brighter blue. See how that's already kind of popping it forward. Do a little bit on these blues here. Grab some of the darker blue, and I feel like I got a little bit too much of that right there. Okay, let's get some yellow with the white. We'll use that cadmium yellow light again now. Yeah. There we go. Should I get my extra water off the in there? Okay, let's Let's add some of these yellow details that are around this guy. This guy has like these squiggly line details here. Oh, there. And up in here, there's all these little squiggly lines and things. So I'm just going to define some of that. And I probably will need to go back through with some of the darker yellow and go over the top of this a little bit maybe, but the light color will cover better to start. We'll outline this a little bit, very, very lightly. Grab some of this brighter yellow. Clean up all of these if I've got any spots that are looking a little bit dirty. I'm gonna get in there with this and clean those up, brighten up those areas. Keep it very thin up here though. There's not very thick lines in this area, so go back in with my blue now. Some of these yellow lines have little blue sections that come in the middle of them. So I'm going to add those in now. Here. This one has a big swirly blue thing happening. This one too. Go. Let's put in a little bit darker. I feel like that we lost all of our dark area back there, so I'm gonna grab some of this darker and go back in with a little bit of the dark blue, maybe not that dark. Shadow up just a few of these little areas right here in the blue. There we go. All right, we're getting ultra realism today. I'm telling you, it's pretty cool. I like it.
Yes, it looks very 3D-ish.
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing what you can do on a flat canvas.
I know. That's one of the cool things about paint is just by changing the values and colors here, we're creating a whole image Okay, I think we're pretty good there. Add a little bit more of this brighter blue right there. A little bit in here. We'll put in some of this darker blue along the edge here. And up in here. Whoops, that was off camera. Sorry. I'm going to grab some of this. I think this was a little bit more like that right there. And then we'll use this black to outline this very carefully, very thin. Try to make it symmetrical. That'll sell it.
Okay, we got a question. Comes up once in a while, which is what are your rules as far as using your paintings? Are people allowed to sell them to friends and family?
Yes. Yes. My rules basically, if you're going to paint it and sell it, please make mark on the back that, original tutorial by Angela Anderson or something like that. And then, I have no problem with you selling it. Even if you're teaching it, like if you're doing it for a church, this week we had this issue come up with a church that was using my thumbnails from my video, and that's pretty much a no-no. Like, you don't want to use any of my images in any way off of the website unless you're using them to paint, but not to advertise your classes or anything like that. And even nonprofit, it was a church using them, but nonprofit use is fine. So community groups, schools, that kind of thing. But just go ahead and paint your own example and use that as your image. Don't use my images off of my website because it makes it look like I'm, endorsing the class in some ways when you're using my images. Plus, they didn't give me any kind of credit on it. It said, so-and-so is going to be teaching this. It didn't say anything about the fact that it was my original tutorial or anything like that. And just for ethical and, courtesy, you should at least credit the artist that did the original. So, something like, we'll be doing this. We'll be, doing a tutorial by Angela Anderson, and so-and-so is going to be guiding us. It doesn't have to be that big of a deal, but at least, acknowledge the artist that is, had taught, whose artwork it is. Some artists don't like you to do that, though, at all, no low classes. So, you just need to know what artists but no using my images for prints or anything like that either, so if you're like, don't do it and then start selling your artwork on art.com or something, it's fine to do it locally, for a class, but no mass market stuff, and no paint party places, where you're doing it on a massive scale and selling, $40 a pop, to teach it. It's just not right. So that's more, it's one, it hurts the artist because those people could be people that would have sought out, our YouTube tutorials to paint. It hurts us because those are potential viewers, and we don't get any of those views counted. If those people are doing it in your class, then they're not going to go back and watch our tutorial later, Plus, they're copyrighted, so it's fine for nonprofit use and private use, but not for for-profit places, paint places and things like that. It's detrimental to the artists. Some people don't mind though, you know. I mean, it's up to the artist. It's just, I don't feel like it's very fair to the artist to.
Well, you know, the artist puts
that.
the time and the effort into developing the painting and teaching the painting, but then they
Right.
get no credit or no reimbursement for it. Somebody else is profiting off of it.
Exactly. That's exactly the point.
It's similar to, you know, people, you know, buying somebody's album and then making a whole bunch of copies themselves and selling them again.
Exactly.
You know, so it's just hurting the artist. So
That's a very good example of it. Yep. Okay, let's grab some white. We're almost done here, guys. We got to do our reflections down here still. Don't let me forget to do that, honey. I might forget. You know me. Okay, so I'm going to put, there's some little fine lines in here. Whoop, right there. And then there's some white kind of in the middle there and there. There's some blue at the bottom here. Just a little bit.
somebody's asked, does it bother you that, like, I guess they call it the tooth, I guess the canvas look comes through the painting?
I like that look personally, but if you don't, you could use a solid support like a, I like it because it makes it look like it's a painting to me. You know, if you see those kind of things, I mixed just a little bit, teeny tiny bit of my burnt sienna in here with my yellow and a little bit of glazing medium to thin it. And I'm going to use this now to do a little bit of a dark shadow on this, there, and I'm going to use it a few places in here. But, yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me, but if you want a smooth, perfectly smooth surface, by all means, use wood, or they have gesso boards. Ampersand is a company that makes these really great gesso boards that they're pre-painted, with gesso, so they're primed for this kind of paint work, but they're completely smooth. So you don't have all this texture, but I kind of like the texture. It does make it a little bit harder for something like this to get a straight line, though. I do agree, so that could make it a little bit easier to work with, for sure. And I definitely think the paper was easier to work on. I got blue up there, darn it. Darn. Let's see if I can get that off. There it is, okay. All right. We are just about done. Let me get a little bit of this. I want this little bit of this golden color in here. And it's not showing up. There is a little bit of a shadow in the area here, so I'm going to use a little bit of light blue, just a little, or like a little bit of not a shadow, but like a highlight right in that blue part right there, just slightly. Just keep it dark, but just put a little bit of blue in there. And let's do our little thing down here. We're done. So it's just kind of a few lines and different kind of random shapes, and it's not completely straight either. If you look at this, it's a little bit off, so the water's kind of moved it slightly to the one side. So I'm going to use this gray black, and I'm going to kind of start in the middle here. And just, there's like stacked lines. This whole area has got stacked lines. I'm going to get to about right there. Oh, I need to darken that up still. So right about where this one is here, there's this kind of odd shaped thing. So I'm going to do like a line and then sort of a rounded shape, then another line then sort of a big dot, then another rounded shape with the, because that's the middle part of it. It's interesting how the water breaks up the light, refracts it. Here you can kind of get a better idea of that in this dot there. Another kind of round oval, and then sort of a circle there. Okay, then we're going to go back in with the yellow. Grab that yellow, that light yellow that we made before, maybe a little bit of this color in there. I'm going to brighten up this line. Got a little water on it. Were you going to ask a question or something, honey? I felt like you were.
Did you feel a disturbance in the force?
I did.
No, I
No,
wasn't.
you were good.
Your
Okay.
spider senses were off.
My spider senses are okay. Sorry. Not this time. That's actually, I don't like that there. I'm going to have to fix that. All right. So right here, there's a few little yellow dots in here and there. This here has some yellow. This one has some yellow. This has some yellow in the middle. It's got some yellow there, and then this one's kind of got yellow in the middle of it. Right there. I'm going to clean this up. This has gotten way too thick right there. Okay. Better. No data. It was my OBS, I think. Good. Okay. We're back. We're back. Sorry. I don't know what happened there. So, okay, we're done. We're going to finish off now that we've been tempting YouTube too long here. They've been glitchy today, so we got away with it. We got through it. I'm going to add a little bit brighter, this brighter yellow over the top of some of these light colored yellows just to darken it up. And we are done. Let me zoom out.
So you did the reflections?
I did, down here. Okay. Thank you for reminding me.
I was just checking my notes.
Okay, we're done. Thanks, guys, so much for sitting through this. I know this was a little bit more complicated one than we normally do, but I think it was really fun. I think hopefully you'll get some good results from it. Oh, I didn't do my white highlight up here. I just realized that. Let me see here. Up here, there's a little area where there's a white highlight, and it's got a little bit of color in it, but it's like right there. So I'm going to put that in. Kind of follows that curve a little bit. I should have put that in earlier, forgot about it. I didn't really miss it actually, but it looks okay. It looked okay without it, I think, but there we go. Okay, now we're done for real.
Except for
Oh, yeah. Stickman.
people are going crazy in chat.
Okay.
They all woke up. They were saying that your voice was putting them to sleep, and now they're all
Oh,
Stickman is trending. Trending in chat.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll put some, I don't know, what do we need to do for him?
I don't know. It's a
No.
difficult one.
It is. We'll put a little ripple on this water here. We got the
Ooh.
ocean last week, so we'll put a little ripple in the water, some drips.
So if your first video watching of Angela's, this is our mascot Stickman. It's what I can draw. My contribution to art.
He got a little, I don't know, he plunked a rock in the water there.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
Yeah, he gets something every week, so he got some ocean last week. Oh my goodness. So Tuesday, we've got a really fun collab coming up with Cinnamon Cooney, the art Sherpa. We'll be doing London, and it'll be the black and white theme with a little pop of red to match the Paris painting that I did last year. So that should be fun. So be sure to check that out on Tuesday night. And then next Saturday, we'll be back with, let's see, maybe an orchid. I'm thinking maybe a big orchid. I'm ready for another flower. Hopefully you guys are too. So thanks so much, guys, for watching today. And thank you to those who've been supporting us on Patreon. It means a great deal to us. Please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And check out my channel by clicking on my name or clicking on my channel name. And it'll take you over to my homepage of my channel. It shows you all the other videos that I have. I've got tons of videos for beginners. Most of them are not this hard, so I promise. So, thanks again, guys, and we will see you next time. Bye.